Hi, my name is Andrew and I'm a sales engineer from Splunk. The purpose of this short video is to give GovHack 2015 participants examples of how Splunk can be used for data enrichment and advanced searching. First of all, I've loaded the VicRoads crash statistics data into Splunk. VicRoads supplies a number of different CSV files, primarily containing the master list of accidents between 2006 and 2013, and a bunch of other files that contain linked data, such as anonymized data for persons, for cars and locations, etc., all involved in the accidents. I've loaded these additional files into Splunk as what we call lookups and configured automatic lookups. So when we search for accidents, Splunk will automatically reference the lookup files to enrich our data with additional fields of information. For example, Splunk will take the accident number and take it from each accident, and it will look up the people and vehicles associated with each accident. VicRoads also uses special codes in the accident data, which need to be converted into something humans can understand. VicRoads don't supply those mappings to convert the codes into human descriptions. They don't supply them via CSV files, but they do supply the information in the appendix PDF that they provide on their website. So an example of these codes is the accident type code. And I'm using a nice Splunk feature called calculated fields to create a new dynamic field called accident type description and set the value according to the value of the accident type, which is present in each accident. So if the accident type field has a value of 1, then we create an accident type description field and set it to collision with vehicle, as shown in this case statement. The next feature I want to introduce is macros. Just like in Word and Excel, it's possible to create macros in Splunk. Macros make Splunk searches easier and neater to read and to understand. So here's some examples of different macros, and they're used for basically, in this case, enriching the data, just like the lookups and calculated fields that I just showed you before. You can even actually get macros to call other macros. So we've got an example here with fix my data macro, which actually runs the previous 4 macros above in succession. So now that we have macros and all this going, we can actually have a look at some of our data, and this is an example of how we can use a macro. So we have our base search, which looks for all of the events or all of the accidents, and then I've got a macro here. We take the results of that, we pipe it through to a macro, and we put the macro name inside of backticks, which are basically reverse apostrophes or backward apostrophes. And so these are all the different accidents here, and we can open up an accident. And there is a field, and this is an example of the age range field, which is not in the data, but is actually calculated using one of the macros that I just showed you before. So that's created for each accident. So now let's start doing some stats. We're getting actually into the data, and I've basically saved us a little bit of time. I've got a few tabs here with different searches that I've already kind of prepared. There's lots of really interesting data inside each one of these accidents. If you open up one of these, you can see there's lots of information about atmospheric conditions, locations, all that sort of stuff. And so what we've done is I've created some base searches up here. And this one here was one that I thought was interesting. So what if we want to know the number of people involved in accidents by age range? And in this case, what I've done is I've got a search which is a base search. It looks for all the accidents. It runs that macro to fix up the data. And then we do a sum of all the persons involved, and we put that in a field called total persons, and we sort that by age range. All right, so the statistics ends up looking like this. We've got age ranges, and we've got the number of people involved in each age range. And because this is a stats command and we have a statistics table, we can actually go and have a look at how this is going to be visualized. And this is our visualization tab, and we can select the different type of visualization that we want here as well. So we could select a pie chart if we wanted to, but I'm going to leave it as a bar chart. And one of the nice things about Splunk is that once you've got some output like this, then you can decide to save it to a dashboard that you can then reference later on, and you can even share out to other people. So I'm going to call this my crash stats, and I'm going to share this out, and I'm going to give this panel a thing by age ranges. I'll just call it that, and I'll save this, and don't want to view it. Let's have a look at another example here. So what if I wanted to know the number of vehicles involved by what they call, or by council, or LGA, right? VicRoads uses a field called LGA, which is the local government area name, and it's similar to a council or a region or an area and so on. And you can see examples of them here. So what this command is doing is basically taking all our base data, and then it's summing up the number of vehicles out of all the different events. It's assigning that into a field called vehicles, and it's basically summing them up by LGA name. I've then got a sort command at the end, which basically puts, this is a reverse chronological vehicle order, or reverse vehicle order, so it'll take from highest to lowest. And then this 10 just tells it to restrict it to the top 10 effectively results. So that's what that does. So I'm going to save that to my existing dashboard panel as well. And I can call that number vehicles by LGA and save that. Now, the next example I wanted to show you is a little morbid, but it's basically looking at what are the days of the week where they have the majority of fatalities. So we're just summing up the number of persons killed from each of the different accidents, and we're sorting it by weekday. And this date _W day is a special field that Splunk calculates, and all it does is basically extract out the day of the week for each of the different events or accidents in this case. So now we have this pie chart with this information. I'm going to save that, add that to my dashboard, and I'll call that fatalities by day of week. Save that. And I have one other search here that I prepared as well, which is looking at basically the range of, or age ranges of people involved in accidents. So this includes both people inside the vehicle, could be the driver or the passengers, as well as people that are outside of the vehicle. And this is calculating over the time range, which is from 2006 to 2013. It's counting up the age range of all people involved. It's also setting a limit of 0, which means it won't filter any results or take the top 10, for instance. And this is the type of statistics that it creates by month, effectively, and then by the different age ranges. And if we visualize that, then there's various ways to visualize this, but I'm going to set this up as a line. And what I might do is, because there's a lot of unknown in here, and it's way above all these other values, it makes them hard to read, these values. So I'm going to go into the format and change this, and change the y-axis to be logarithmic. Click OK, and that kind of looks a bit better. And so now we can hover over each of the different age ranges, and we can see that most of the age ranges don't change very much. There are a few age ranges that seem to have climbed a little bit over time, especially that 81 to 90 range. So anyway, this is interesting data, and I want to save that as a dashboard panel, so I can go and again add that to my dashboard panel. Age range over time, and save that. And now let's have a look at the dashboard that we've just created. And what's happening now is it's going off and it's retrieving all the data for each of these different panels. And as the data comes through, it will start to populate the panels. So you can see that the panels are dynamic because the data's streamed through. So it's coming through. Now, this is kind of interesting, except that I don't really like the layout of this panel. So I'm going to edit the panels and change this. And I want to bring this pie graph up here and put it beside this one. And I'm going to do the same with this pie graph as well. So put that beside it, And if I wanted to, I could go and change the type of visualization here. I could put this as a table or do it as a line graph or something, but I'm happy to leave this as pie graphs at the moment. And I can click done, and there is my dashboard panel. So look, I hope this has been beneficial. We've covered a number of different topics, including lookups and calculated fields and macros, and some statistics commands. So here's a summary of what we covered, including the stats and the time chart command. So look, we will have Splunk experts available at GovHack in each of the capital cities to help you. Check out the description below this video for more information, and good luck, and I hope you have a great GovHack.